too quiet. I don't know, you know I'm a teacher, so you have to say it louder than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's more like it. That's more like the students I know. So as a writing teacher, one of my favorite places in any building is a library like this one. So it's an honor to be able to welcome Mrs. Kishida, Yuko, and all of you to this beautiful space of learning and discovery. Because the ties that bind our nation are not just forged by heads of state. They're created people to people, heart to heart. And, you know, as we share ideas and pieces of our culture that make our souls sing. So last year in Japan, Yuko and I met with incredible young people who were doing just that. Looking towards the future, toward ways of doing good, not just for their communities, but for the world. So today I've invited some amazing high school students here who are bringing our countries closer together, studying Japanese, hosting Japanese students, and even traveling to Japan through a cultural exchange program. And today we're joined by Japanese-American poet, Professor Kimiko Han. Yes, let's give her. Who earlier this morning led a poetry workshop at the White House with these students focused on an ancient form of Japanese poetry. And so I'm excited to hear what you've created together. Because art shows the contours of our sorrows and our joys so that we aren't alone. It brings us back to the beauty and the humanity in every moment. And that's the power of what you've done today. With every line of poetry, you enter into a conversation with the world, helping us reach toward each other so that we can understand one another and imagine our bright tomorrows together. You, like the young people in Japan, are the leaders of today and tomorrow, the keepers of our partnership, the dreamers of a better world. So I cannot wait to see what you do next. Yoko?
ジル・バイデン大統領夫人、キミコ・ハン教授、高校生の皆様、こんにちは。岸田優子と申します。
Dr. Joe Biden, the First Lady of the United States, and Professor Kimiko Han, and everyone from the high school. Hello, こんにちは。My name is Kishida Yuko.
今日はジル夫人主催の特別な日本ともゆかりのある詩人でいらっしゃるハン教授と日本語を学習している皆さんとのイベントに参加させていただき、心から嬉しく思います。
It is a great pleasure for me to be here today to participate in this special event hosted by Joe with Professor Han, who has a connections with Japan, and all of you who are studying the Japanese language.
高校生の皆さん、読書は好きですか？私は学生の頃から本を読むことが好きで、本によって得られる感動は大人になった今も変わりません。読書により自分の住んでいる世界とは異なる文化や価値観を発見する、あるいは海外の文学作品を読んで日本人にも通ずる価値観に気づくなど、新たな発見の喜びを感じ、心が豊かになる経験をしてきました。本は言葉や国境を越え、人々の心をつなぎ、理解を深める力を持っていると思います。
Do you like reading? I've loved reading books since I was a student, and the excitement and inspiration I get from books has not changed even now. Reading enriches my mind and allows me to experience the joy of new discoveries of different cultures and values from those of the world in which I live, or similarity of values from foreign literature. I believe that books have the power to connect the people's heart and to deepen their understanding beyond language and national borders.
本日は詩人のハン教授もいらっしゃいますが、日本人が昔から愛してきた世界一短い詩についてご紹介したいと思います。皆様、知っていますか
？Today we are honored to have the Professor Han, who is a great poet, with us. But I'd like to tell you the shortest poem in the world, which has been loved by the Japanese people for a long time. Do you know what it is?
そうです。俳句です。
Yes, yes, it is haiku.
俳句を作ったことがある人はいますか？
Have you ever made haiku?
Many of you experienced. 俳句は五七五の17音からなるとても短い詩ですが、その中には必ず季節を表す語を入れます。どうでしょう？興味が湧いてきましたか？皆様もこれを機会にぜひいろいろ調べて俳句にチャレンジしてみてください。
Haiku is a very short poem consisting of 17 syllables, 575, but it always includes a word that represents the season. How does it sound like? Did you get interested in haiku? I'd be happy if you take this opportunity to research and try writing haiku.
さて、本日こちらにいらっしゃるキミコ・ハン教授は日本にもお住まいになったご経験もあり、日本ではよく知られている古典、多くの俳句を作ることで有名な松尾芭蕉や1000年以上前に活躍した女性の詩人、清少納言に関連する作品を発表されていると聞いています。
I heard Professor Han has lived in Japan for some time and that she has published works related to Matsuo Basho, a well-known Japanese author of many classics in haiku, as well as Seisho Nagon, a female poet over 1,000 years ago.
ハン教授の作品は異なる国に住み、歴史や文化も異なる日米の読者に対し、双方に通ずるものを感じさせるなど、国境や言語を超えてまさに日米の人々の心が通う、そんな瞬間を多くの方にもたらしてきたのではないかと思います。また、ハン教授の作品によって日本の美しい自然や文化などに関心を持たれた方も多いのではないかと思います。
I believe that Professor Han's works have brought many American and Japanese readers who live in different countries and have different histories and cultures to a moment when their hearts are connected beyond borders and languages by letting them feel something in common. I am sure that her works have also brought about many people's interest in Japan's beautiful nature and culture.
本日のイベントでハン教授の作品の世界に触れ、詩と文学を通じた交流について皆さんとお話しできるのを楽しみにしています。ありがとうございました。
I look forward to talking with you at today's event about the world of the Professor Han's work and the interaction through poetry and literature. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings and thank you to Dr. Biden and Mrs. Kishida. I'm going to go off script for 1 second. It was so much fun for me to stand here, and I'm sorry the cameras didn't catch it, to see all of your faces brighten up when you heard the Japanese. It was just so much fun. So April is National Poetry Month, so happy poetry. I am pleased to be here as an ambassador for poetry and to celebrate the Japanese and American cross-cultural value of education, art, and friendship. This morning I had a wonderful workshop with Hayfield Secondary School students on the White House campus. How did I find my way to this celebration? I am literally the granddaughter of a farm worker born in Hiroshima Prefecture in 1888, and a laundress born in Hawaii in 1895. Through a go-between, they met and married on Maui and raised 7 children. The youngest girl was my mother. I am amazed by my good fortune. My good fortune also included parents who are both artists, my mother, as I've noted, Japanese American, and my father, German American from Wisconsin. They raised my sister Tomie and me with many Japanese classes, dance, flower arrangement, calligraphy. We lived for a year in Tokyo, and I attended public school, where my favorite event was undokai, field day, where one engages in teamwork. In high school, like many of you, I was in a summer exchange program in the city of Niigata. Speaking of public school, yesterday I flew in from New York City, where I teach in the most diverse place on the planet, Queens College, the City University of New York. I am here as a poet, professor, and I hasten to add, a union member. I am here because I sing the body electric, as bidden by Walt Whitman. Yeah. And I write in a certain slant of light, as bidden by Emily Dickinson. I found my way to this celebration because these two women take education to heart and value poetry. Poetry can make a space to pause, and here are two of my own. This first is in a form created by American poet Terence Hayes that uses every word from another poem to end each line. I like to use a haiku, which, if you don't know, you just heard about from Mrs. Kishida. This particular haiku is by Takayanagi. In mine, I attempt to amplify the original haiku's delight and simplicity, inspired by my grandchildren. The Takayanagi haiku reads in English, "Splash, splashing, a child walks in the river." Splash, splashing. The dog and baby are splash, splashing. So the ripples halo in a kitchen puddle where another child pours another pot of water on the tiles, then walks through while intoning in a divine dialect she's conjured for this sublime, opportunistic river. The next poem I'm going to read, second and last poem, was a draft in a journal that I revised for this event. April 10th, 2024, on the occasion of meeting Dr. Jill Biden and Mrs. Kishida Yuko. In winter, the frozen ground turns its cold shoulder, turning everything white and black. Today, in a gust of spring, the mud and morning light returns. Even the veins thaw with the rise in temperature. I hear the lavender. Thank you. Now I will turn it to you, the students, to share some of your work. And Abigail, do you want to go first?
Oh, should we sit down?
Yes.
Am I in the middle or? Yes.
Hello to those who my name is Abigail Chafin, and I am a junior who is 16 years old from Hayfield Secondary School in Alexandria, Virginia. I'd like to thank my Japanese teacher, Juan Sensei, and my principal, Dr. Darren Thompson, for having me today. And I'd like to quickly recite that exact speech in Japanese. So, also, welcome to Dr. Joe Biden and Mrs. Kishida and Mrs. Han. So, 皆さん、こんにちは。ジル・バイデンさんと岸田さんとハンさん、こんにちは、おはようございます。私の日本語の先生、ボン先生とダレン・トンプソン先生は私言ってくれてどうもありがとうございました。ちょっとだけ私は読みます。1番日本語で読んで、2番 英語で読みます。春って全部花が輝いていて、鳥の声はもっと大きくなります。音楽みたいで耳は嬉しいです。夏って明るい日はまた入って、天気は晴れて暑いから、日焼けしたら美しい気持ちがあります。秋って夕日は初めて早く赤の葉っぱは来ました。夏にまた会いたいです。冬って世界は白くなって雪がワクワクしています。家は暖かくて外出たくないです。Now I'll read in English. In spring, all of the flowers are blooming and the birds' voices get louder or bigger. It's like music, so my ears are happy. In the summer, the bright sun enters. The weather is sunny and warm, and when I sunbathe, I feel beautiful. In the fall, the sunset begins. The red leaves quickly come, and I want to go back to summer. In the winter, the world turns white. The snow is fluffy. My house is warm, so I never want to leave. Uh, ちょっとだけ私は日本語をまだ習っていますから、私の文法とか単語は違ったらごめんなさい。はい、どうもありがとうございました。はい。
Thank you. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you, Abigail. And these assignments, by the way, were a response to what is your favorite moment of each season. And this is based on one of Seishun Agon's most famous pieces that children in Japan read. Nagone, would you like to share?
Hello, everyone. My name is Nagone Reed, and I'm a freshman, 15 years old, attending Hayfield Secondary School. I would also like to thank my Japanese teacher and the president of the school, as well as Dr. Joe Biden, Han-san, and Kishida-san as well, for allowing this beautiful opportunity to happen. こんにちは。私の名前はリードナゴネです。ヘイフィールド高校で中学1年生です。とても嬉しいです。よろしくお願いします。I will now read my poem first in Japanese and then in English translation. 木の葉が弱い秋の風で揺れる。涼しい風で踊っているように見える。一歩一歩でガサガサ鳴る落ちた葉の音。オレンジ、茶色、黄色。夜空の星のようにバラバラ落ちている。歌鳥の声が響き、遠くに飛んでいく。冷ややかな寒い冬から逃げているかな。太陽が早く沈み、コオロギの鳴き声が聞こえてくる。暗くなる夜におやすみなさいって言っているように、暗闇が徐々に上がっている。夜が来た。とても静かだ。I will now read it in English. The trees are rustling, the leaves dancing with the cool winds that the autumn brings. Every step you take makes a crunch, with leaves scatters all over the ground. Orange, brown, and yellow, like stars scattered across a beautiful night sky. Birds are chirping, flying into the distance, perhaps to a warmer climate to escape the frosty bite of the upcoming winter. As the days become shorter and the sun quickly sets, crickets sing their song as to say goodnight to the rest of the world. Night comes and darkness falls. Silence.
Thank you, Nagone. And to everyone, imagine, not only did they have to write very quickly this morning, but these two in particular translate it, so that's astonishing. So thank you very much. Now we'll pause for a moment to allow the press to depart.